Okay, back to talking about Doctor Who and Patrick Troughton in The Enemy of the World. Okay, Salamander descends down a secret shaft in the records room of the research center. When he emerges at the bottom, Salamander is wearing dirty overalls. Overalls. Workman's clothes. He's no longer dressed as like a Don. Now he's dirty and dressed in workman's clothes. We see a group of people in a control room looking at figures on paper. On an intercom, Salamander says, "I have returned. Take radiation precautions. I will make a report about the surface." One of the men in the control room says, "He's back. He's managed to get back. He's managed to get back again." Another named Colin says, "Let's hope he's got some good news this time." A woman named Mary says, "Do you think Salamander's found some more food, Swan?" And then Swan says, "I hope so, otherwise we're finished." Colin says, "I've got to see the surface, Mary. I've got to. I want to see the sun again. Walk on top of the earth, not hide like a rat under the ground. I've got to do it, Mary. I've got to ask him." Swan greets Salamander in a separate room. Salamander says, "Don't come too near, my friend. I am not yet decontaminated. I am too weary, too utterly weary." Swan tells him, "You shouldn't have made this trip, Salamander. You're doing too much." Salamander says, "Someone has to bring back the food for you, my friend, huh? You know that the radiation is slowly killing me, don't you, Swan? I worry about you all the time. What are you going to do when I am no longer here?" Salamander enters a chamber. A Geiger counter beeps. Salamander says, "Radiation gets a little more each time. Salamander delivers wine and food for the people down here. Salamander tells Swan, "It's terrible up there, you know. You've no idea." Salamander tells the people, "I remembered on my way back down here that we are near our anniversary again. In a few short weeks, we survivors will have been down in this shelter for exactly 5 years. Colin and Mary were just teenagers then. Look at them now. We fed ourselves, but what's more than that, we are fighting back. We are doing something." So, this Salamander character, I noticed he was like a man that secretly has one family that doesn't know there's another family that he's taking care of. He's living two separate lives. Which it must be exhausting keeping up with that. I've heard of that happening before, where men they marry a woman and they have children, and then unbeknownst to this family, this man has a whole other life, a whole other family in another, probably another part of the country, or because he probably wouldn't want to be seen with his other family by the original family. It's very weird. I don't recall what is the motivation for doing this? Why would a guy do this? Why would he have one family over here and another family over here, and then going back and forth between these two families? Very strange. Weird. So that's what I noticed that this salamander is kind of like. He's like he's tricking these other people because he's not. He's pretending to be. He's pretending to be nice, but he's not nice. He's living his secret life. Okay, Colin asks, will we ever return to the surface, Salamander? Salamander says, yes, of course we will. This is what I am striving for. But up there, it's terrible still. So he's lying to them. The war goes on, and you never know when the air is clean or when it's poison. We have to fight for a while longer, creating natural disasters, monsoons, earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, always in places where the enemies of truth, the enemies of truth, that's what Salamander is. He's an enemy of truth. Always in places where the enemies of truth and freedom gather together. Wow. You will return to the surface when you have a good chance of survival. You must believe me. You cannot return to the surface until it's safe to do so. The doctor changes his hair and clothes again to look like Salamander. Donald Bruce finds Giles, Astrid, and the doctor. Bruce tells the doctor, I've been looking forward to meeting you again. It's amazing how alike you and Salamander are. Incredible. You fooled me the first time we met. But now even Salamander himself would think he was looking in a mirror. Bruce wants to know why the doctor is impersonating Salamander. The doctor tells Bruce he wants to rescue Jamie and Victoria. Astrid says they want to get evidence that would expose Salamander as a traitor, blackmailer, and murderer. Astrid knocks out a guard that Bruce had brought with him and takes his gun. She says, we have to get back to the research station. The doctor takes the gun from Astrid and gives it to Bruce. So this is a show of trust. Very risky. The doctor says, Mr. Bruce isn't going to shoot anyone, are you? Bruce says, why did you do that? The doctor says, because I think I know what sort of man you are. Honest and reasonable. I gave you back that gun because I trust you. Now I want you to trust me. Bruce says, "You must be a complete fool." Or very clever. The doctor says, "Well, I'm afraid you will have to make up your mind to that right away." Bruce says, "What do you hope to gain by this gesture?" The doctor says, "Your confidence." Bruce says, "I must be mad to trust you." He hopes the doctor's impersonation will work. Bruce and the doctor go to the research center, while Astrid and Giles remain behind with an armed guard. Back to Salamander, who is still down below with the others. Swan finds a piece of newspaper that was accidentally left with the cases of food that Salamander brought for them. Swan goes to Salamander and points out that it has last year's date on it. He shows the headline to Salamander. The headline reads, "Holiday Liner Sinks. Many Feared Lost." Swan tells Salamander, "You say there's a global war, radiation everywhere. How can there be holiday liners?" "You lied to us, haven't you?" Salamander says, "In a way, Swan, yes. I had to. Well, it's true that the war is over, but have you any idea what happens to people who've been involved in a nuclear war?" "Have you?" "Those who are lucky enough to escape the annihilation have their bodies eaten away by radiation poisoning." I suppose like Spock was in what was that one called? It was the movie with Khan in it, where Spock dies. The Wrath of Khan. Yeah, that Star Trek movie where Spock dies from radiation. Yeah, that was very sad. Very, very sad. Star Trek. Okay. Back to Salamander talking to Swan and the radiation poisoning. Salamander says, They're deformed in mind and body. They have a kind of society, but it's evil, corrupt." That sounds like Salamander. Calling the pot, calling the kettle black. Yeah. Salamander says, "You don't think I could expose you to that sort of thing? Think of Mary and the other women." Swan says, "And what about the natural disasters we've been organizing? The volcanoes, earthquakes." Salamander tells Swan, "They are not fit to live." Swan says, "You're murdering them, killing them off." Salamander tells Swan, "I want you and the others to inherit the earth, make a new world." Swan says, "But not at the price of wholesale murder." Not at the price of wholesale murder. Salamander tells Swan, "It's not murder. If you could see, you would understand. It's an act of mercy." Swan says, "I won't take your word anymore. I want to see for myself." Salamander says, "Well, you You'd be horrified. The radiation would kill you. Swan says, I'll chance that. Salamander gives in, but he wants Swan to promise not to tell the others. All right, I'll stop there.